what you guys are going to be up against with Auburn's wide receivers?
They got 2 or 3 really good receivers, so, we just got to lock in and practice. I'm really excited for the matchup, so.
Kirby was just in here talking about the quarterback's ability to run and extend plays. How do you go about defending that as a defense?
Really just trying to do a better job to try to contain him, keep him in the pocket. I feel like that'll kind of counter it in a way. So we just got to stay locked in and do a good job of countering the fact that he can run, because he's a good quarterback that can throw and run. So.
Yeah, Daylen, earlier in your career, you're playing opposite of Kamari. Teams kind of attack you. Now you're the other guy that teams seem to kind of stay away from. When you mentally go on the other side of this, how do you stay locked in, ready to make plays if and when you actually do get attacked, if that makes sense?
Really just, like you said, just staying locked in. There's someone on the sideline. They always tell me, like, before every possession going, he just says, don't fall asleep. So, like, when I'm on the field, that's all I'm thinking about, just don't fall asleep, because, the one play you do fall asleep, that's the one they could throw you away, and then boom. So.
Yeah, you're someone who's played and started on the road at Auburn. Just what do you remember about that environment in 2023, and how did it sort of impact that game?
It's a pretty crazy environment. I think that was 2 years ago. I'm old, but yeah, it was a good experience just seeing them. Like their fans get loud, so just it's probably gonna be the same this week. It might be a little more. Just saying it's a night game, so we just got to be ready for that.
John, what do you remember about Cam Coleman, Eric Singleton, kind of what they bring in terms of the challenge of trying to slow those guys down?
Oh yeah, they're 2 really good receivers. Cam, he has the size. He's one of those guys you could just really throw it up to him. Like he's like the 50-50 type of guy. So we just got to do a good job of making plays on the ball when that opportunity comes. And then Singleton, we played him last year. He was at Georgia Tech. He's also a really good receiver, real shifty. You can really put him anywhere. So we just got to stay locked in and, yeah.
Daylen, you guys had an advantage over Kentucky over to your left.
Oh.
Yeah, thanks. I think it'd been the first time since the Texas game last year that you guys had led against a Power 4 team at halftime. How much of a difference does it make when you're in the secondary and you've got that other team on their heels and you know they got to come to you? Does that make things a little bit easier in the secondary to maybe seize the moment?
It feels good going into halftime with a lead, but, we go into halftime saying it's 0-0, so we just make sure we stay locked in for the second half and don't really let the lead let us get comfortable. So we just try to stay locked in.
Yeah, Kirby's talked a lot about the secondary, getting hands on guys, through the routes and everything. How do you feel like y'all are doing in that regard, and what's the balance between disrupting routes but also not getting called for holding, pass interference, things like that?
I think we've been doing a pretty good job. That's one thing we try to focus on, especially when we're in those man-type defenses, is actually getting down, putting our hands on and challenging people. And, there was some circumstances where, like, we didn't really do that. But then we would go make the adjustment and actually, like, really tell, like, bro, like, if we're impressed, we got to actually put hands on them. We got to knock the timing off. And then once we started doing that, I feel like it showed we started doing a better job. So.
Daylen, to your left. When it comes to the quick start, Kirby said there was nothing injected into the guys' veins. We didn't take a pill for it. It was just execution. So when you see what you guys did better against Kentucky, from your view, what was it?
I would say last week in practice, we talked about doubling down on things. So I feel like the 2 things we tried to double down on was getting takeaways and then also getting off the field on third downs, because, we just felt like that's something we didn't really do good against Alabama. So that was the 2 main things we tried to focus on during that week. Like, we worked on each, like, more than usual. So I feel like that showed. So.
We saw Ellis make that toe tap interception on Saturday. How common is a play like that from him, and just what kind of growth have you seen from him this year?
It was great to see. I always like seeing, Ellis, even all the corners, when they make plays, it's just a great feeling. And seeing them, those are the type plays he makes in practice. So I'm just proud of how he's been growing and how he's been maturing throughout his career here. So.
Yeah, Kirby talked about the sort of positive energy that linebacker Justin Williams brings to this team. How do you see that when practicing with him, and how has he improved over the course of this season?
I say it always stays the same. Like, I feel like it don't matter what time. We could be playing at 3 a.m. He's probably still going to have the same type of juice he does if we play at noon. So that's something I feel like it definitely helps our defense because, a fire, passion, energy aspect thing. And, like, that gets other people going. So the fact that he does that, we really appreciate it. So.
Going back to Ellis, what have y'all's conversations been like? Have you offered any advice to him?
Really just tell him to stay locked in. Don't really let one play affect the other. Because, he had a little adversity when we played Tennessee, and that's kind of the first thing I told him. I was like, look, like, stuff like that's going to happen. You just can't let it drag the whole game. So, like, just really just try to forget that it happened in the moment. And then, like, when it comes the next day or whenever we're watching film on it, just see where you messed up to where you can get better at it. But that time will come. You can't do that in the game. You got to stay locked in. You just got to have that next play mentality.
Yeah, DeMelo is a guy we've seen a lot more of over the past couple of games. Just what has his growth been like, and what does he bring to that cornerback spot with his athleticism?
Just seeing the way he's been practicing the past couple of weeks, he's been working his butt off, and he got the opportunity to get on the field, and he handled it pretty well. Like I'm just proud of how he handled all that stuff, just because he was like a little stressed, like he wasn't really playing or whatever, but we kind of talked about it. It was just like, bro, stay locked in, bro. If you just keep working, like your time's gonna come, and it came, and he took advantage of it. So I'm just proud of him for that.
Daylen, I know that players and coaches on your left here say that you guys prepare for every game the same, but you've had some of your best moments in big time games. Is there an explanation of that? Do you find an edge, or is it rising to the occasion? How would you explain the way you've performed in big moments for Georgia?
I mean, we do try to prepare for each team the same way. Like, I mean, maybe it's a coincidence, I guess, that the bigger games were the ones, I played better in. Just like, I feel like, just trying to stay locked in about who we play, and yeah.
The fact that this is the second road game for you guys, how big do you feel like for the younger guys the Tennessee experience was, especially as one of the older guys, lessons you feel like that you hope that they take from that Tennessee game when y'all hit the road on Saturday?
I think one thing is just try not to make it bigger than what it is. And, us getting that opportunity to play on the road at Tennessee a couple weeks ago, I felt like it was a good thing just so we kind of know what we're getting into going into another one. So.
Daylen, right up here, talking a minute ago about, don't fall asleep when they don't throw to you a lot of times. For your own growth, I mean, as you continue to progress, how valuable then is practice reps for you compared to what happens in a game when it can be hit or miss on who throws your way?
Well, I try to take the practice reps pretty serious. Just, you practice how you play. So I just try to make sure I practice the best I can so I can, when I'm on the field, I can play the best I can.
See, first career start last week against Kentucky. What was sort of the feeling for you going into that game, and then just how would you evaluate how you played?
It was a good feeling. It's something I dream of as a kid. Being able to go out there first and kind of represent this program. But I mean, it was a really good feeling, and I think everything went well. So.
Chauncey, what do you think it was for you this summer that kind of popped, that has kind of led you into having a good fall so far this year?
I feel like I've always had a strong work ethic, like as a kid. But I mean, I was also very young. Like I just turned 19, in July. So I think it's just me just developing, getting older as a player, and just getting more experience and working out. So yeah.
Chauncey, explain to us the rotations. When we're watching from afar, we see you have a big run, and then they immediately pull you out, and vice versa. If Nate has a big run, they immediately pull you. Who's making that decision, and why are you guys changing so often?
I would just say it's the standard we have. We feel really strong and confident that every running back we have in the room can go out and execute at any given moment. So just that, keeping us fresh on top of that. So definitely that.
Yeah, what was the biggest thing you learned personally in your first road game at Tennessee a few weeks ago?
Yeah, just getting used to the crowd and the environment, and how loud. I don't know if y'all familiar. Like on NCAA, like you have crowd noise, but like Yeah, like stadium post. So yeah, kind of just getting adjusted to that for the first time. Like it's really cool, really fun experience.
What NFL backs do you like watching, or was there any back you emulated, you'd compare your style to?
Well, good question. I'll say growing up, I watched a lot of Saquon, Nick Chubb, Sony for sure. You know, being a Florida guy as well. That's been a guy that I kind of watched and took some things from and try to add into my game.
Do you feel like you're maybe more explosive, more twitchy or whatever this year? And how do you, if you do, how do you improve those kind of skill sets throughout an offseason?
I'll just say, just really, that's the reason why I came to Georgia, is to be developed and get quicker, faster, stronger. I feel as if we have one of the best strength and conditioning staffs in the country. Actually, no, I take that back. I feel like we have the best strength and conditioning staff in the country. And, we work really hard on trying to make sure that we do those type of things and, improve and develop players. So I'll probably say, like, just going in the program and just listening and trying to do everything and get the most out of myself. Like, that's helped me improve.
Going back to last week, when and how did you find out you were going to get the start?
I'll probably say, like, right before the game, my coach told me, he was like, yeah, like, we're going to, start off with this and, you're going to be in. And just a good feeling, something I feel like I was prepared for, a moment that I worked really hard for, in the past and just growing up. So it was a good feeling, but yeah, like right before the game.
What was the growing experience like for you as a true freshman last year? And when you look back to last year, where do you think you've improved the most to get you to where you are now?
I'll probably just say kind of trying to learn the game and get adjusted to the speed. Like I said, coming in, I was really young. My first spring, I was 17. So kind of just trying to, not have my head on fire, trying to go around and figure out stuff. But just definitely just getting older as a player, kind of learning from older guys that have helped me and stuff like that for sure.
Yeah, what has Micah Moore's presence meant to this offensive line? And when you see him pulling behind you and clearing path out on the open field, just how big do your eyes get knowing you're running behind someone like him?
I mean, it's awesome, He's a really big individual, really big, really strong, just a freak athlete, in my opinion. I think he's one of the best guards in the country. And just being able to play behind him, I mean, it's an honor, extremely, extremely blessed to have a guy like him on our team.
Chauncey, what do you think the level of confidence is for this running back group in terms of being able to consistently, get the yards week after week?
I'll say it's really strong. Something that we all worked on. Every guy in our room, we've all kind of given it our all and had a really good, really strong spring, summer, just the whole process beginning in winter, coming all the way to this point now. We've kind of given it everything we had on trying to get our bodies and mentally being able to go out there and process and play. So that for sure.
Yeah, Chauncey, to your left. Right over. I remember KJ Bolden telling us that before kickoff he always looks around and kind of soaks in everything road SEC games bring, whether it's the scene of the Rocky Top or now the Eagle flying in, and then once at kickoff he kind of locks in. Do you appreciate just the rivalries and the passionate fan bases and what it means, and do you soak that in? And then when do you lock in?
Can you repeat that one more time, the end part for me, please?
Yeah, just do you appreciate just the historic rivalries and the passionate with the fan base and the special traditions that each of these stadiums bring, with the Eagle flying in for Auburn, for example, UGA here, and when do you maybe enjoy that as a youngster, as a young man, and then when it's time to lock in, when do you do that?
I'll just probably say, like, towards the whole week, we kind of think about it like, all right, like, we acknowledge the fact that we're going to be playing in a really loud environment, and it is really nice to kind of, soak in that crowd and that environment. But, I mean, it gets to a point, probably like right before the game, I would say, like, we're kind of in there getting dressed, changing. Like, you hear the fans at a certain point in time. But kind of once you step on that field, like a switch would flip. And it's like, all right, like it's time to go. Like, dim out all this noise, time to play.
Yeah, Chauncey, over here. Seems like you have a running style where, you're pretty patient, you let things develop, and then there's a suddenness. Is that something that you've always had, or is that something that the coaches have kind of helped you develop? I guess I'm just kind of curious, sort of your your vision in the backfield and the way you hit holes. How's that come to be?
I feel like it's something that I've always been able to do. The biggest thing, in my opinion, is just trying not to overthink things. Just go in, just play your game. I've been playing football my whole life. I've been playing running back my whole life. So it's nothing new. Just a different environment. And it took time to get adjusted to it, but it feels good to be able to go out and do it.
Chauncey, playing such a dynamic position, can you talk about playing with emotion and just, I guess, the adrenaline? I guess sometimes, you'll hear your number called or you'll know you're going to need to take on a backer. How do you control that, manage that, and during the course of the game?
I don't really overthink things like that. I've been playing football my whole entire life, and, I've been tasked to, go and block people before, and D lineman, whoever it is. Like, I just want to do whatever I can do to help the team win. So I already know it's a blessing, to be able to play for this program in general and be able to wear the G on my chest. So I'm willing to do anything I can to help the team win.
At this point, what do you know about the Auburn defense? What stands out to you, and just the challenge you guys are on offense are going to be up against?
Yeah, really, really physical front seven for sure. That's something that stands out to me, in my opinion. I think they have a really good secondary as well. So it's going to be a tough physical game for sure. And we give them a lot of respect and credit. So looking forward to playing them.
Yeah, when Nate has the fumbling issues that he has, like as a teammate, what do you say to him to try and encourage him, specifically also as a running back, to just sort of help him, knowing it could potentially just be like a little mental issue?
That's my brother, like on and off the field. So I look out for him and things like that. I don't want to, I know you said you believe it could be a mental issue. I don't think it's that, I think it just happened to be an unfortunate place where he had the ball at against Alabama, and the guy just made a really good hit, you know what I'm saying? So, stuff like that, it's bound to happen as a running back. And as we've seen, he's really great, really electric. He's an awesome player and an awesome guy to be around. So I don't think it's going to be anything that we have to worry about in the future in terms of that. He's worked really hard, and he's practiced and done everything that, we want him to do. So I'm looking forward to him being able to go out there and execute.
To kind of follow up on that, what kind of response did you see from Nate after the Alabama game? Just what he did last week, and then obviously what he's able to do against Kentucky.
Yeah, I think what he's done over the week kind of just shows what type of leader and what type of guy he is. In terms of him taking accountability and working extremely hard on his ball security, and we've all taken notice of it, and we're all really proud of the progress he's been making.
Auburn's holding opponents to less than 90 yards rushing per game. You mentioned the physical front seven, but what stands out to you about the way they defend the run specifically?
Yeah, really aggressive, but nothing that I want to take away from them. They're an extremely good team, but I feel like we have a great front seven as well, and we're looking forward to playing them.
Time for one more question.
For the second time in as many weeks in the NFL, we've seen a running back drop the ball before they went to the goal line and scored a touchdown. Do they preach that here, and can you ever fathom your head coach's reaction should that happen?
I don't want to even imagine what would happen if, something like that happened here. But, yeah, he would definitely rip into us, the least to say.